Let's talk about Yasiin Bey, aka Mos Def, one of my favorite artists. Got the Black Star.
Still haven't heard the second Black Star album.
I won't hear it until somebody presents it to me.
Okay.
But I say that I say that to say I ain't trying to diss him, but he says he's actually about to retire from hip hop, and he's one of the people that I believe. Like, you know, a lot of people talk about, oh, I'm done. Hov did it. Oh, this is my last album. We shoot the video for it, and he drops 5 more albums. Even West Side Gun is retired and dropped 3 or 4 more projects. Recently said he's going to retire. But with Mos Def or Yasiin Bey, I actually believe that he's going to retire. Like I said, one of my favorite artists of all time. What do you guys think his legacy will be if he's truly done with music? Because I think he is a guy that sometimes gets his flowers, but sometimes deserves more, just from a creative standpoint, because he's really been dope for a long time. Anybody can jump in. Jay,
he's not really a mainstream. He's from the backpack era, essentially. He's one of the best from the backpack era.
I would agree.
And like we just said, Black Star has 2 albums. One that just came out a year ago.
Right.
Mos Def's solo career is really good, but it's still not. He doesn't have not one mainstream song really. It's more for the heads. You feel me? And then he got into acting a little bit. He's more like, so I kind of consider him a Renaissance man in a sense of an Andre 3000 that's not quite Andre 3000.
I like that one. They cut from a similar cloth.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Mos Def. When he was Mos Def, he was my favorite rapper. When he was putting material out, but then he just kind of stopped making music for really a long time, and
which makes this more believable to me because he's done it before. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I always just, I mean, my real answer is I don't. It's not that I don't care. It's just that, like, yeah, I mean, I just don't care.
You gonna hit it?
No, I'm not gonna hit it. But I mean, it's no, I mean, like, I'm a fan of him. I always feel it's weird as an artist to say that you're going to retire, because I don't feel like you ever really truly retire from doing stuff like that. Like, if he randomly gets the bug to randomly work on music and put something out, then wouldn't he? Like, do we ever really retire as like musicians? I don't know. I guess that's
the answer is no.
That's what comes to my thought. You know, so
the only person I know who said he's retired from music, and I truly believe him, is Joe Budden.
Yeah, I can see
because
that.
I see like he has completely transitioned into something else. And
that's a good example.
But because
But I could still see Joe Budden popping back for a random verse.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, I could still see that,
because if you think about it, they were having talks until they start arguing with Slaughterhouse. That's true. He was like, if the bag was going to be right and they were ready to go.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
This is true. Look,
but I still like that example. That's a good example.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you're going to retire from music, don't tell us. Just go and retire.
Or just stop making music altogether.
Stop making music. Yeah, if somebody asks you, why haven't you made an album in 15 years? I'm retired.
Is that kind of what this was? Or was this more so like he announced it?
From what I see here, I think
from an interview.
From an interview that was with...
Maybe he got Billboard. Asked about it. I don't know.
But even with, like you said, even with that, it's, as from a creative standpoint, do I think he's not going to record joints? No, I don't believe that. But as an actual artist that puts out material... he would be one of the people that I would believe, just from his track record. He's already had an absence. So I could see him being like, nah, I might mess around a little bit.
I see him being retired from the music business.
Yeah, there we go.
As opposed to being retired from being an artist.
That's fair.
I think, when we talk about somebody like, he brought him up earlier, Andre 3000. I don't think he wants to deal with being in the music business anymore. He probably is still very much interested in jamming and maybe freestyling, but as far as having to take said freestyle to an A&R, seeing how we're going to go ahead and package this and shooting a video and maybe doing this, that, he's not interested in that anymore, and I can completely understand why. So I think Yasiin Bey might be in that, having a tour and then go sit down and talk to Jimmy Kimmel like you care what he has to say about your music. Like, it really, and nothing against Jimmy Kimmel, but like when you're playing the game, you really have to jump through certain hoops to promote your art. And I can see where people would get burnt out on such a thing, because at one point Mos Def was moving in, and this is when he was still Mos Def. I'm not trying to be disrespectful with the name. He was top of the marquee as far as like mainstream. He did what was it, a movie called like 16 Blocks with Bruce Willis.
No, he was out there. He was out there.
Hitchhiker's Guide with
he was getting his act on.
He was in these movies. And he wasn't in like, for lack of a better term, hood movies or stuff that was just going straight to Redbox when Redbox was a thing.
He did do the hip opera.
True.
That was earlier though, and shout
with
out to
Beyonce.
And with Beyonce, directed by Robert Townsend. So like there was still, a certain level of A-listish, if you will.
I'll take Beyonce and Robert Townsend.
Yeah, so
I'll take that.
Nobody really retires from having the creative inkling to make music, but I think having to deal with the entire record industry and the entertainment industry, that is something where you'd be like, I'm certainly not doing that anymore.
CeeLo Green said in an interview with Beehive in Atlanta, he asked him about, man, what's up with Outkast? CeeLo said, I'm never going to say never because I know, we in the chat and we always talk about the possibilities of this and that. But the one thing he did say was they got a chance to go out on tour and take people like Big Rube and all the people that were associated with Goody Mob and the Dungeon Family. They got a chance to go out on tour and perform. And Andre just didn't want to go out because of what you talked about. He didn't want to go through the riding on the tour bus and the press and all that type of stuff. He just wants to just chill and just do music. He's
been staying true to that. And what's funny, so this article that you're reading from, there's a related article that says back in 2017, Yasiin Bey, Mos Def to deliver farewell performance at One Music Festival 2017. So this isn't the first time he said that.
Yeah.
Essentially, like Jay Moore said, he's probably burnt out on the music business as a whole.
That's a good point.
But he's going to continue to do his artistic things on the side, just without the qualms and expectations of a record label or fans even.
There's also something to be said too from a writer standpoint, which Andre and Yasiin are both, is that where everything that they have is super thought out and stuff like that. So
it's funny that
I don't know.
It's funny that you said that because you just we talked about Odyssey and we talked about the interviews that we have. If you remember in that interview, he said when they go to different cities, he'll just go out and sit in the park and just try to pull from whatever's going on in his mind just to clear space. Because sometimes you just get to the point where it's like, what am I inspired about? Am I just writing in circles for no reason? Yeah. And he's like, man, I just go outside and walk. I just go outside and sit, just go outside and think, cut my phone off.
And even to Odyssey, he came out and said, I think it was like an Instagram post or something he wrote. He said this album was one of the hardest projects that he's had to put together because he had a lot of self-doubt about, the product, like what he's putting together. And my guess, and I'm just guessing here, but maybe it's along those same similar lines of wanting to be up to the same standard and want to continue to push the envelopes. And if you've already pushed the envelopes super, super heavy, that
what's left to push?
So much.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, and Skyzoo has even talked about it too,
Talk about somebody their rights.
Yeah, and he's talked about the same thing.
That Franklin Saint project got some heat on it, though. I don't know if you guys got a chance to listen to it.
It's with the other guys as producers. Yeah,
good production on there, too. So,
this is the thing about being an artist. Like, a lot of times people do get into it for the art, but the business is what kills their spirit.
Yep.
The fact that, like, I got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go talk to, say I've gotten to a point where, like, I'll sit down and talk to the Breakfast Club or it's like, I don't feel like doing that. I don't think Andre 3000 wants to sit down and talk to anybody about anything. Maybe other creatives, perhaps.
Well, he had that.
Like he
talked with
Rick Rubin.
He did have the thing with Rick Rubin.
That was a great interview.
But as far as just sitting down and shaking hands with people and like, hey, welcome to so-and-so in the morning. It was like, we got Andre 3000. He doesn't want to do that.
It's like if Andre 3000 had a show in Nap and we reach out and be like, yo, man, we want to talk to Andre 3000. He going to be like, no, I'm sorry.
He's at a point in his career anyway where he doesn't have to talk to anybody.
That's true.
Like whatever he drops this is just what I dropped, and I don't need to sit down and tell anybody about it. Either you're going to consume it or you ain't.
Bro, he set the world on fire with the verse for Kanye, and that was an old verse. So can you imagine what it would be if he actually...
he does it every time he gets on something.
Anything. So could you imagine what it was if he was like, yeah, I'm just going to randomly drop an EP and Big Boy on 3 of the songs. The world would stop.
I just seen how The Love Below came about. So... It was supposed
like 3 weeks?
Yeah, it was supposed to just be Big Boy's solo project. Like, they weren't working together at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And
didn't he write and produce all of his side? 3 stacks.
If you let me finish talking,
I'm sorry.
I can let you know.
Oh, my fault. I didn't know if you was done. Sorry.
It's cool. But no.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
He pretty much called LA and asked him, how long do I have to get this album done? Because they had no idea he was even working on anything. And he's like, well, we're dropping Big Boys in 3 weeks. He kind of said he just sighed and was like, cool, and hung up the phone. And then 3 weeks later, he delivered this album, which he had went through producers. He said he was finishing this album at multiple different studios, trying to get it mixed and mastered and there on time, like down to the day. He did everything, got it to him. LA was like, I heard that, and was like, there's no way he did that in 3 weeks. Like, just the artistry from it. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Girl, woman, and man.
Crazy. Nah, that's 3 weeks for that is, yeah.
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 Imagine what else he's sitting on right now.
I'll say this though, like sometimes when the inspiration hits, you can knock out a lot of stuff in a very short period of time. Especially if you have the access to get those ideas out, you can knock those out. So who knows? That I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah,
I would think that he probably had some ideas already probably churning in his head. Would be my guess. But
one thing about Stax is he always speaks highly about the direction and the younger artists are going. He's like, man, I can't keep up with these young boys, that type of stuff. So I would see,
because it's literally the definition of hip hop is being hip.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't want to be hip anymore.
Yeah.
So I could see him if he were to, like Lone says, quote unquote, pop out. I could see him showing love to the younger generation with features versus going back to grab, not having the guys on everything. You know what I'm saying? I think it would be a mix if he were to do it. So,
but people don't really do that with Mos Def or Yasiin Bey.
Not really as much. I mean, he was on the Gibbs album. He
was. He got a joint with West Side Gun too. Him and Talib.
Yeah, I mean,
on that
and
project.
Slick Rick had that record a long time ago.
Well, Joey Badass actually just did Umi Says live.
Yeah, y'all see that?
Was dope.
That was dope.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, you don't really see him or people reaching out to him, or if they are, maybe it's just not.
Yeah.
Not happening,
or maybe he's just not, accepting it.
Yeah, that's true.
All those different levels, it's levels to everything. But I actually like that comparison, Terry. That's a really good comparison. Just from an artistic, creative standpoint, I see similarities.
Yeah, I do too.
Definitely see that. That's a very.
I was
good
a huge Mos Def fan. Yeah, man. What's going on here?
Turn that down, man.
I swore I turned it down.
I'm gonna do long. 355 episodes.
Man. And you shut the fuck up, huh?
But the Mos Def, like Black on Both Sides.
Yes.
And which is super dope. And
that's crazy dope.
And then of
The
course,
New Danger.
Black Star.
Man.
I like the New Danger.
I did too. I know a lot of people didn't like
I
it.
didn't.
I enjoyed it.
Hey, that song, The Panties, bruh.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That beat is
The
crazy.
one thing that I would say is that his one after that is where he kind of lost me a little bit. The eccentric
where he's jumping across the.
What's it called? The
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Where and
Magnificent
there's the
or
one that
something.
didn't even have a whole case. It was
Yeah, I
just like a
remember
purple
that.
CD
Yeah.
and Mr. Magic. I don't.
I think that was what
I
it was.
can't
Purple
remember.
or something.
Yeah. I mean, and it had stuff on it I liked, but I was like, you're coming off of Black on Both Sides.
Yeah.
Black on Both Sides is
Classic.
tough. It is a classic.
Classic.
So
One
I mean,
for the trouble.
but you know what?
for the time.
It's with Mos Def. If you like Mos Def, you like Mos Def,
Yeah,
and
Red,
he's
yeah.
in that category for you.
Yeah.
You know, like you said about the whole having the mainstream looks. I mean, probably the song Umi Says and maybe Miss Fat Booty are the songs that you would know from him, and those are 20-something years old at this point.
And
There's probably
those-
more people that know about him from movies than music.
But those two records that you just named, you talk about undeniable, man.
Undeniable, but at
single
the same time, you just have to look. I remember Talib Kweli, just kind of on the same thing. He said, "Look, man, I've been doing this for 20-something odd years. I only have one hit song, Get By.
Yeah. That's true.
Technically on what you would consider to be a hit song.
That was a big record.
But if you have like this almost a grassroots fan base of people who enjoy your music, at this time, I'm not sure what he's doing now.
He's doing a podcast.
Yeah, but it's like he's like at the time, he's like I still tour 150 days. I can still get out here and get money on the road with one hit.
I do believe that.
What was Hot Thing not a hit?
No. I mean, it was a song people.
It was a single.
It was a single, but like,
What about the Just Blaze joint?
No.
Where they had the '60s type vibe. That song was
been
cold.
in love before. That wasn't. Thing is, like when you say
Get 'em
hit,
high.
you got to think about it is when he's talking about hit. He's like Billboard recognized.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Hit.
I thought Hot Thing was kind of out there for a minute though,
I never liked that.
It's
song.
not Get By, but I would think to Terry's point, it would be
because it
closer
was
than some of
produced
the
by
other
Will
joints.
I Am at the time when Will I Am was
hear
actually
it, they're
popping.
like, oh yeah, I remember that song.
Yeah,
But when they hear Get By, that's
Baseline.
good call.
That Kanye
and
West
it was
production.
Kanye West.
That's what I was gonna say. Get 'em high. Is that
Get
what it's
'em high,
called?
but that was
that's
that's
Kanye.
Kanye.
It's a Kanye song. Yeah.
And
Get 'em High wasn't even a
It's
single.
not a
though.
single. Yeah.
No.
dope song though.
But yeah, I mean, and I think that's.
But I'm not.
So the people who had respect for and enjoyed Mos Def's artistry, they'd be like, okay, cool, he's retired. We're still going to revisit this from time to time.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
You know, if the retirement is supposed to spark some renaissance of people rediscovering Mos Def, it's not going to happen like that.
Nah.
That's just not how the media cycle works anymore.
I mean, the older I get, the more I just realize a lot of these artists that have had consistent careers for this long, they don't owe me anything, man. I don't need 6 more albums from fam. Like, go ahead and do what you do, bro. Like, it's cool.
And that goes directly into my I don't care comment. It's just kind of like Mos Def has already given me a lot of himself. So like if he wants to retire or if he doesn't, like I don't care. If he drops something new, cool, I'll check it out.
Lupe is kind of in the same boat because he's toyed with the fact of or idea of retiring, and he still kind of dibbles and dabbles here and there. He'll drop an album you won't even know that was coming out. You know
Yeah, I
what I'm
listened to
saying?
that
So-
album when he talked about dinosaurs.
Yeah, and it actually was fly.
It was fly. If anybody could turn it into something, it's him. And
Straight up.
the drill music joint that he just dropped was cold. It's heat on there. So it is what it is. But like Lone said, he don't owe me anything, man. If that's the case, go get your paper in the movies and appearances and start you a podcast like everybody else.
Or just sit at home and sip
already
your tea.
on
You
the
know what I'm saying?
podcast.
Like,
Oh, he is.
Yeah, him and Quali and Dave Chappelle.
Midnight,
I'm asleep.
Midnight Miracle.
I'm asleep. That's what's
They
up.
just started their second
one.
series or something.
Yeah, they press it on vinyl.
Do they?
Really?
Yeah.
They for real about it.
I won't be hearing that
But-
either.
That's when you got that. That's that Dave Chappelle money.